we'll be continuing with the things on the more hard things, since Madame is here. She works on the feminism also and feminist aspects also. So we're entering to the final phase of before a valedictory. We are entering the final phase for the final presentation, and that's what I'm going to discuss about now and explore about. So Madame is here, Dr.T.S. Rao is here, Dr. Lokendra Singh will join soon. On the irony of Indian women and sexuality in modern praxis, and would explore about various dimensions and things that need to be studied about. Hunger, thirst, and sex are the four primary or basic instincts drives in any human being. Sexuality is an integral part of life. Sexuality, in larger sense, includes various ways in which a person expresses his, her maleness or femaleness. Even a child learns about sexuality from adults and peers and is influenced by culture, religious, and environmental factors. Sexual intimacy is just one way of sexual expression, sexual whether for pleasure or procreation. Sexual, whether for a pleasure or a procreation, is a source of personal enrichment and satisfaction. If it is based on informed choices and consistent with personal values. I hope you all can see the presentation, or there's still the problem with the presentation. I think presentation.
I can see.
Okay, you can see me live, but can you see the PowerPoint on the screen on the display? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
I continue. I convey my apologies for breakup in that regard. Sexualities in all societies pervades every aspect of social existence and always has been an enigmatic theme of research in the social and human sciences. In India, especially, the overwhelming diversity in language, ethnicity, community, caste, and class, the multitudes of value systems, and the challenging endeavors mandating interdisciplinary and multiplicity of analytical frameworks. This volume, a valuable compilation of fresh research in the field, bridges this gap and provides a non-spectacle view of sexual culture of India. When we say let's talk about sex, all the ooh, ah, and grumbling sound is enough to serve as alarm to our false pride and prejudices, the so-called liberated and modern society of ours discussing sex still is the big taboo, especially while contacting about the conclave also. It was altogether putting up in that high regard, and it was really very risky to put the conclave especially on sexuality rather than taking conclave on any other medical issues of a cardiac disorder or nephrological or a neurological disorder in that regard. Like most of ideology, the open attitude towards sex is preach more and practice less, as in religion. Sex is still struggling to ensure its place in all classic and distant dictionaries. I know, pun intended, without any second thought for liberals, conservatives, right, left, up and down, whosoever concerns and claims to be the gatekeeper of morality and decency. Non-Western countries like India, however, as a minute section of the liberal elite tries to experiment with the ideas of sexual freedom within the privacy of its restricted space. Sexual boundary walls for women remain dauntingly tall and unchallenged and are periodically reinforced through the public castigation of violators. The real tragedy of the Indian woman's sexual prison is that even in circumstances where general norms of sexual conduct are violated, men and women are subject to horrific sexual abuse and violence. Yeah. Women, I just doubt whether you can see the PPTs or just the presentations. Whether they're
I can see now. I couldn't see.
you can't see in our presentations. All the participants, I think, they're not able to see the presentation.
Now it's possible. Now it's possible.
Okay.
But the still first page.
Okay, okay, that's coming up. That's coming up. Yes, I'll continue at the short while our technical team is looking for the things. In the meantime, I'll continue with the oral part and then presentation I can. So hence the most women submit to the rigors of multiple back-to-back pregnancies and the subsequent ill health Erasmus their and choose not just their own but also of the children they bear. Consequently, 90% of Indian women are anemic and 53% of Indian children are malnourished, a percentage almost twice as high as than that of the children of a sub-Saharan African countries. Yet eventually many of these women are abandoned by the men of the children of sub-Saharan Africa. A vicious cycles which keeps almost 80% Indian women trapped in the vortex of poverty. In villages, young widows or single women, usually abandoned by their husband, who resist the advances of learning men, are sometimes labeled witches, and the mobs punched and leashed them. The gang rape of a woman is commonly used methods of revenge between rival men or feeding caste or religions. Majority of these cases are not even registered, and those who make it to trial often have little hope of getting justice in the face of unsympathetic courts and a commonly biased police force. And when women do dare to speak, they are frequently subjected to public humiliation. Irony is that often used phrase, the sexual objectification of women, a sort of oblique reference to male chauvinism, has become a literal reality for modern India. The Indian woman has been completely stripped of all the human worth and reduced to an actual sex object whose only function is to provide sexual and reproductive services for the patriarchy. Other than that, like some other commodities, she is also regarded as entirely valueless and disposable. And it's so valueless and disposable that through practices like female foeticide, female infanticide, and dowry murders, India has managed to systematically dispose of more than 50 million women from its population. Ironically, there is no one train of thought that seeks the solutions to the female genocide through the furthering of objectification argument. If men are convinced because women are in short supply, would not that raise the inherent value of women? Even if simply as sexual objects, however, as with the shortage of any community, the system does not get introspective. Just creative about how it avail itself of it. Indian patriarchy is far from contemplating its annihilation of female resources as long as women can still be bought, sold, shared like common property. With the gender ratio falling rapidly in certain parts of the country, a massive flesh trade has ensured across state boundaries in India, where women are kidnapped or bought from their families and then sold as wives in the regions where, due to shortage of women, men are unable to marry. Economize on the cost of buying many wives for large families of many brothers. Often a single wife is brought and shared by all the brothers for their sexual and reproductive needs. As grisly as the woman position is in society, the worst outcome of this is the extent to which Indian women have internalized their social malform role such that it has caused in them collectively a certain feminine disconnection, a virulent form of self hatred. When we say a woman, at whose breast humanity is cherished and whose lap civilizations are cradled, at one point of time, we have this great admiration, and when to consider, unless until we consider women as a womenter, we won't be able to come out of this and understand and respect the sexuality and culture as a whole. Traumatic, what I mentioned about the girls missing, the physical abuse is really rising high in India. Female foeticide rates is really alarming, rates to 3.7 crores females in India has been female foeticide cases. The India has been very harshly termed as a rape capital, with even that at 3.5 minutes crime is against women in India, it's committed against women in India, and that's really harsh about it. It has increased by 7.8% and kidnapping abductions to 19%. Trafficking rose by 122. The ratio is the past. And recent data is much more alarming than that. About 27 million children are born each year in India, but nearly 2 million of them do not live the age of life like that. They're completely. Child labor is another issue where over 12 million, truly up to 60 million child workers in India. When we have to go for the cause up in that regards and we study about the aspects of the behavioral sciences, we need to understand the difference between nature and nurture. We are not taught to understand the balance. Nature, what's come genetically to us, and the nurture, our behavior is affected by the environment we are born and brought up in. But even the two brothers are not alike. It is the environment and what we adopt and what are the personality traits and what the strokes that happens in experience to our personality that forms our personality and that forms the base of our sexuality. When we talk about the basic instincts, as Dr. Rao sir has already put the thrown highlight on it, like about hunger, thirst, sleep, and sex. Sex, whether for a pleasure or for procreation, is a source of a personal enrichment and satisfaction if it is based on informed choices and is consistent with personal values. Unfortunately, we have a very high regard and easily talk about hunger, thirst, and sleep, and their disorders are considered to be corrected more clinically or aesthetically or psychologically, but we have still great taboo about sex up in that regard. So the dilemma is like a dilemma. There's a doubt, there's a war, there's a tug of war going in our mind, like whether sex seen or less seen more. We have concept about intuition versus institution, goods or gods, ugly versus beautiful, a plain versus plain, height versus height, and tone versus pose. We have this dilemma whether sex is really beautiful or it is ugly, and that all comes from the culture values or the way we have been born and brought up in. We have to educate and make this a very beautiful creation of Almighty and reach it to one and all in a great and a systemic and scientific manner. Else, people will die of guilt. People will turkeys as a dirty, and that will be really painful for matter. The biggest taboo of all time is about our beauty and body. Whether how, as it's been rightly mentioned in the earlier first session, plenary session, that we have a different aspects and considerations of our body organs and the beauty concepts, right from our genitals, right from our color, right from our face and shapes, and all of these thoughts we have. Our organs and functions we have. I have seen the cases where people were not clear about how to move for sex, what exactly is climax, how to experience the orgasms, how to go for a foreplay. Even many have shown their negligence to understand the anatomy or basic biological about the male and female sexual organs. Moral science and health science, there's a conflict that is shown, especially in the Asian countries, and that is more prominent in India. When it comes to the sex, even as a health science, it is given and still blah blah and no kind of a stuff, and that is creating more problem because a moral science is considered a more spiritual and higher than this thing. Uh, Before that things, we have to understand the big S law difference. It is truly said that man are from Mars and women are from Venus. And here we have to understand why there is a difference between a demand and why there is a difference in the behavior of the man and the woman, thing like that. And the difference is that their make is different, their psyche is different, their working is different. In a just easy manner, if I give an example like that, for example, just take an example. You are a medical, you're a doctor, and you just come back home and you see that your wife is having a headache, and you just move to her and says that, okay, what's the thing that why you're sitting and ideally you're here? And she says, Ki, I have a headache like that. And you just prescribe her with any painkillers or diclofenac or something and says that take medicine and go to bed. And she starts crying and saying like that, my God, my life is a mess. It's a hell. Why did I marry this man? And really I can't understand. And you just question yourself, I prescribe her the right medicine, and why she's behaving in this manner? Because as a woman, her right brain is more active. It's not that her left is not, but as we say that women are from Venus, things for solution. What she's expecting from you when you come back from your clinic or from office like that, she expects that you hold her hand and say like, oh my God, what has happened to you? Why didn't you call me? Why didn't you share that with me? Should we go to doctor? When you might be a super specialist or an MD or a DM, then you should say so and see it works. And she's like, no, I'm feeling better right now. So S in women stands for sharing. They see that women like to share, women love to share, and women love to talk. That's why among their friends also, among their peer groups also, women love to share and they keep it talking. Even when the two friends in the school they are together, they talk entire day. When they move back home, they get freshened up and they call their friends once again. How lovely it was a day together, and they repeat the same thing. Even in the telephone conversation, you might find that women are quite engaged a bit for a longer time than a male. So this is not an ideal fact, but as we say that. Now we will reverse the situation and we will see that now the men or the doctor is having a headache and he says like that, and the wife comes to him and doctor says that okay, just get a diclofenac from my drawer or from my table and give it to me, or just get a painkiller, I want to go and sleep. She will come, she will cuddle him, she will just put her hands on her hair, she will just try to say like, why don't you just take rest today, why don't you go to you just drop going moving from office, why don't you take leave? And he will start and shout at him, just don't dare ask me any question, just get the medicine. Again she starts crying that why this man is like this, I'm just expressing my love and care for him and he is not responding or reacting to it, because the man are from Mars and they'll have the thing solution. So when a man will have a problem, he'll take things, he will find a he'll fix the solution, he will go to his den and come back rejuvenated and relaxed. And that's why just Dr. Rao is also only mentioned like that. The maturity level in the girls are it comes at the early stage than to the boys. And that's why we say that when the boys grow up, they become big boys. And when the girls grow up, they become women. And I always say that the back when the boys grow up, they become big boys, and only difference is in the cost of their the toys. Now, coming back to sexuality part, where it's a matter of a great need and a time. It's a high time that should start that it's my right. The women need to in India to understand that it's my right to reject the proposal, partner, and procedure. It's a basic right, just like we have entered the right to information, RTI. A woman should get a clear right, have a clear proposal, make the choice of his partner, and to have a procedure also for the procreation also work. Right to information about the health, education, guidance, and counseling. It is a grave need of time that we have to move this movement, make a premarital counseling, and make them about the health and understanding also, and to see whether on the mature level, on the physical level, find themselves quite competent about it. And most easily, or I will say most casually, or the most importantly, a right to demand and command safety, security, sex, and also to reach the climax. I will not say excuse me please today because it's an health e-conclave with the thing, mind, body, and sexuality. So I would like to say excuse me please because we need to explore ourselves. We need to make a sexpression about our things. We need to experience the things. We need to feel sexotic about. We need to be sexecutive. Also, the series we need to consult the sexpert without any dogma or tabby. We need to have the explanation of the thing to control this explosion. It can be sexclusive, then only it can be extinguished rather than getting an extinguished up in that regard. Consequently, 90% of Indian women are anemic as what we are saying compared to that in that regard. A woman in sexuality and their freedom is quite challenged. The irony is that as we've seen, the sexual objectification of women is at the high grade and in the high manners. Moreover, the Kama Sutras speak of the issues of female orgasms. However different it is for women than for men, is that it is a foreplay, not coition, that leads to orgasm in women, and how it is men who need to know and understand how to pleasure their female partners. Data from this period indicates a tremendous degree of freedom and choice for women in selecting their sexual partners, even if they are married, and in expressing their sexual needs and wants. In addition to Tantra, which attributes spiritual dimension to sexuality, India has produced a rich literature of sophisticated sex manuals. In spite of their practical nature, they demonstrate how Indian culture integrated sexuality into everyday life, including religion and spirituality also, as we have just mentioned about Khajuraho and Kurak temples. Knowledge was supposed to be the part of a repertoire of any intelligent and well educated adult. Several of these were translated in the Victorian era by free thinking Orientalists. It's a time to let's talk clearly about sex in Indian practice like that. We should start talking about issues and focus light on dark areas which create ignorance, ill health, and many social evils like failed marriages, rapes, divorces, disrespect to women, abuse of children, and in general, and unhappy people. Sex is the most beautiful and adorable thing created by Almighty. It is truly said that the best in the world can be experienced only, it cannot be explained. Sex is not an exception to it. Sex is the aroma of Aphrodite, elixir of energy, fountain of fun, and sound of serenity, stream of solace, valley of virtue, and door to divine. The beautitude of sex lies in understanding its real temperament and giving its dignified treatment. Exercise of it without proper know-how can limit the pleasure, sense, and sensibility, or even it may appear ugly and indecent if not portrayed properly and dealt scientifically and sophisticatedly. In the man-woman relationship, as the intention of this e-conclave is to provide a health, happiness, and harmony on all levels. When we talk about in a man-woman relationship, compatibility of values and nature and good communication and tolerance are more important than sex. Sex needs can and will only match if both partners have exactly similar needs in sex, and odds of that happening are very slim. So-called modern and liberated women have wrongly understood debauchery as sexual freedom and do not realize long-term consequences of such acts. Since we love to ape the West, why don't we learn from the Western society, which has already gone down this path only, to see the essence of the family structure and institution of marriage unravel? The saddest part being the irreparable damage it did to the women themselves. Empowerment of women does not merely promiscuity, the skin show, and disdain from the contemporary moral standards of the majority. It means full legal, economic, and social rights, financial independence, no degradation of women as sexual objects in the media, films and music, videos, and no dowry deaths and female infanticide. And it can only be achieved if a man is taken as a partner instead of an adversary. Reality is that as the gender ratio skews further and rapidly, the indicators of which way Indian woman is headed are to the contrary. For India, the real indicators of change will come when women will celebrate women, when mothers and grandmothers joyously anticipate the birth of another girl in the family and then teach her how to love her body, understand and express her sexual needs, and celebrate her life to the fullest. But that will happen only when the Indian woman reconnects with her femininity, her sexuality, and her sense of self. This is a quite sweet memory of Rajasthan conference we have. And sometimes the question also that it's a funny way we like that, where Adam was sincere to Eve because he was not having any other option. And we have to understand the few things, and the things may move up in that regard. We have to understand and respect the emotions of the partners, to society, and to understand the norms of the things. No means no, we have to follow this rule now. As we have been blindly feeling that if she says no, it means yes, and if she says of course, it means positively yes. We were under the great belief like that, the women to consider them as secondary without any view for that. Fire the things up in that way, carry your messages or ready reckoner I will see, share a sweet smile and shower together. In the sharing, in any relationship, you should have a sweet relationship, a smile that can work really miracle for you. A sharing of a smile that can work in a great manner, go a long way. A shower together can really grow a flower together. A care of a culture, chocolate, coffee, and compassion. Tell, talk, touch, tease, and travel together. Don't be apart. Don't be in the virtual world only. It should be a brick and mortar, not only the click and barter things. The touch goes a long way as a part of haptic therapy. Message, massage, mix and match, kiss, click, and karaoke. This will be quite an elixir and we can term as a remedial things that can work in a matter of things. Harmony of hormone can be achieved with the love, intimacy in a great manner, and then only we can experience the real essence of life and real essence of relationship. All the time, I'd like to conclude with the matter with the great thing and the final thing you say that greatest erection of a man for women is Viagra, and it cannot be merely by Viagra. It's a matter of a love, emotion, faith that we nurture together. It's a matter of a things that we carry together. Thank you. As a part of this presentation, the important thing that we need to carry is that the greatest invention of life is to discover oneself, and that was an entire intention and move about this e-conclave that we should be able to help, support, and move in a good and great manner. I hope now we are can we move and conclude to the valedictory session at 2 o'clock. That regard, I would like Madame Justyna to have our final comments, and then we can move for the valedictory remark from Dr. T.S. Rao sir. Madam Justyna, can we have a final remark and comment from you, please?
Uh, and then when I have many questions, yes, but the essential is for me, for my, I think the essential question is how it is possible such a spiritual culture lost by the way by ages spirituality. Yes? I mean, this deepest meaning of spirituality, because what I understand, yes, what I hear, and I know it because I visited India several times, and then um, I see many situations. I met many people. I met women. I met men. I teach students. What I would like to ask you, uh, do you think is it possible now to develop in India uh, effective system of education, sexual education, and then sexual health education, and also therapeutic support? Yes, because I think it's now very urgent thing, very necessary to answer this question. Yes, because in such a situation when uh, conflict conflict in the culture increases, conflict between body and soul, conflict between man and woman, conflict between generations, yes, many conflict, conflict between poor and rich, yes. And then I think, what do you think? It's possible to develop a system of education about sexuality in India now, right now, And then, what do you think about it?
Yes, that's what exactly in the earlier part, Dr. Rao and Dr. Lokendra Singh has also said like that. The need for a technical know-how and providing getting trained by the right people, and that's what the support of a WHO, the health orientation, health education has been imbibed at the school, at the preliminary and primary level also, and it is going on in a very good manner. Things have started. In fact, this E-Conclave and earlier, few years back, few decades back, perhaps. That's why we have honored Dr. T.S. Rao also, when it was a matter of a great daring to utter the word sex also. It was a matter of great challenge. At that time and that instant, that age is Dr. Person like Dr. T.S. Rao is working, making people oriented about, making people aware about, throwing that light on this very important thing that is going on. And that's where we need to work and concentrate. And in coming days, India will definitely come out with this more orientation. But the biggest problem is like that the lack of a scientific and a systematic module, which will be developed in a coming time. I hope we have come to the concluding part of the sessions, and with all integral part and intellectual inputs from our expert panelists, we come. And since we have the questions flooding up, the time don't permits, I'd like to request all the participants they can post their questionnaire. We can we will be passing all your questions to the panelist, and you'll be getting it answered in a very short time because we have our scarcity of time. This is dearth of time, and we have to come to the final protocol of the program for the valedictory address. My dear friends and gentlemen, we have come to the concluding aspect of this health international health e-conclave. And I feel very proudly and very happy that a great intellectual input is given by all the panelists. The great discussions has been carried out. And today we have tried to touch the most eloquent and most neglected topic at point in a very humble, polite, and pious manner. Our intention to make it more liberal and make it reach to the people en masse and not been confined only to the medical books has been clear today. I request Honorable Inspiration Idol 2020, Dr. T.S. Sathyanarayana Rao, to have his valedictory address. So,
At the outset, I must really congratulate Mysore Multi-University for an excellent theme they have chosen. This is one of the very much neglected area, and somebody talking about it, a taboo subject, needs a lot of courage. And I'm also extremely happy to note that many stalwarts and learned people have been brought into this particular platform. When we talk about sex, it is not purely physical, materialistic, but it is something much beyond. And part and parcel of our living and achieving the higher goal has been very rightly brought out in this whole symposium. And I must really congratulate and thank Justyna for bringing this into the focus. Often, the difficulty what we have is actually that people are in hunger to learn something, to know something, find solution for this particular problem. But unfortunately, the answer what they have is actually at present too difficult to be what can be called very scientific and easily available and accessible for many. Even very big cities where there may be some of these facilities are available, and this is actually just not possible for the population in general to reach and get solution. And what can be said, say, people talk about ignorance is bliss. But as far as sex is concerned, ignorance cannot be bliss. And that is what actually responsible for so many things what we see. I may not agree with the word India is the rape capital, what Mr. Vikramsingh mentioned. This particular problem is there much more in many of the other societies. But the issue is the very presence of it is actually a problem that we should root it out. So how it can be done about our own understanding. In fact, the theme of your university itself, understanding thyself, what it means is actually something really phenomenal message. It is that we can understand, we are happy means we can keep the world so happy. And for that, but we are talking about quality of life. It is not just the money, it is not just the wealth, or it is not just something materialistic this thing which contributes. The spiritual one aspect of maybe, but sexual this thing is actually something extremely important. But I always say WHO definition of health. It is not mere absence of disease, physical, psychological, social, and spiritual. They mention. They should have actually mentioned in a very common definition the word sexual also, because it's one of the extremely important components. And when we see the people coming with so many varied type of problems and not getting solution, and whatever is being treated by medical people in general in our country is by just drugs and tonics, things like that, which is not just going to work. So we have to, and the day may come, not asking about sex, not attending to the issues related to the sex, not giving proper solution to the problems related to the sex, may be treated as a negligent practice, and maybe can be held on the legal other arenas. So this type of beginning that to break the taboo, get out of the shell, and reach out the people. These type of conclaves are extremely important, and I think my guest work is it has done the justice to the very idea. I'm really overwhelmed and very happy that I had an occasion to learn a lot of things in this particular. I have met Dr. Vikram Singh in two or three occasions, and each of those occasions have been very enlightening and very bonding type of these things. And I can justifiably say that I have learned much more closely and deeply this Mr. Multiversity. And I want to assure you that if any such further conclaves are there, or any such programs wherein we can be of some use, I'll be more than happy to be part of that particular thing. A great show. Congratulations. Thank you very, very much. And Mysore is a very beautiful city. In fact, in India, we are standing number one many years, and once or twice we have gone to second or third or fourth position occasionally. But all said and done, it's one of the friendly and one of the nicest place in India. Please do come visit, and anytime you are this part of the country, do let us know that we can be part of our university program, academics, and in fact, the bonding of not only individuals, these institutions too. Madam, most welcome to Mysore. You want to recharge the battery? Apart from Poland, nice places, Mysore is one more place.
I
You
hope so.
not
Yeah.
come to Mysore. Thank you very, very much.